Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Hot Takes Goodman and Haertl. I am here in Denver, and Bruce is somewhere up in the wilderness in Oregon. Is this a hostage video you are sending us?
Yes, I am. I tapped 3 times to let you know that I was here. My apologies. I'll be back in Denver tomorrow, and we'll be much more technically savvy. But trying to get the family moved in about 4 or 5 days has been a little bit of a challenge, but one that we are very excited about. So it's all good.
I'm guessing you had a better weekend, a better Labor Day weekend than Bill Belichick and Deion Sanders.
Yeah, well, Bill Belichick looked simply overmatched last night, which was, and it's not like I've got anything against Bill Belichick, but there was a certain degree of delight that you get watching something like that. Does it speak to me as a poor human being? Because I've got nothing against Bill Belichick. I've never really been around him at all, a little bit, but only in press conference type of situations. But man, to see him whipped the way that he was whipped by a TCU team that is supposed to be okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty entertaining. As for CU, that game was, my feeling on that game was that it ended up being closer than it really was. I thought that Georgia Tech early, if they just execute early, that's probably a 3-touchdown game. So
right.
Both North Carolina and Colorado, I think, have some work to do.
I mean, when you think about all of the NFL experience on CU's coaching staff, from Deion Sanders, Pat Shurmur, Warren Sapp, Marshall Falk, the list goes on and on, Damata Pecco. Right. You would think that someone would look at, and it's not, when you're in the NFL, doesn't mean you know more about, calling timeouts than somebody who's in college. But geez Louise, don't stand up at the mic and say, well, guys were stepping out of bounds. Whether they were stepping out of bounds or not, the clock was still rolling. Right?
Yeah. It was, it reminded me of early Nathaniel Hackett clock management.
Right.
And that may be, and that may be even doing him a disservice. It was really poor clock management in a game that, they had a chance. I mean, it was a game that they had a chance, certainly, but they didn't help themselves. And that's why I'm saying Colorado's got some work to do. We think Georgia Tech's a pretty good football team. I think they proved that. I think they proved that, Eric. I mean, you talked about that last week, that this was going to be a pretty good football team coming in. I thought you were on target with it. And so I think Colorado has done nothing for me to change 6-6. That's kind of where I am with Colorado. And I will love to be proven wrong by him.
I mean, a lot of CU fans, and listen, the fact that they had it a tie game with a little over a minute to play is to their credit. Okay.
It is.
To the fact that they got manhandled at the line of scrimmage and they had it tied with a little over a minute is to their credit.
Yeah.
But let's take a step back for a second and say, I know Garrard is your quarterback's coach, used to play in the NFL. Pecco and Sapp work with the defensive line. Just because you played in the NFL doesn't mean you're a great coach. And I'm not suggesting they aren't good coaches. They won't be great coaches. But at the end of the day, that's where they lost that game, with the 2 NFL players.
Yeah, I would agree. Isn't it interesting? And we watch it differently than a lot of people because we're watching for things just like this. We're watching for signposts. How are they managed? What does their talent look like? How are they using their talent? Quarterback play. We're looking into a lot of different things, and it's really interesting what rears its head. And then what surprises you when it rears its head, because you just said it. You can play in the NFL. It doesn't mean you're a great coach. You could have hit 400 in Major League Baseball like Ted Williams did in the early 40s and not be a very good manager. It's not tit for tat. You don't just get to be a great coach because you were a great player. We saw it in clock management. We saw it in their line play, which is a red flag for me because their line play has been kind of if there's been an area of bugaboo for CU in the 3 years for Coach Prime, it's been getting the lines figured out.
Right.
And so there's work to be done. And the great thing about one of the great things about Deion Sanders is that there will be no rest for the weary. They will work hard to figure that out. That's a hallmark of Deion Sanders. He's a hard worker. He wants to get it right. But to your point, I think, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, sometimes wanting to get it right and knowing how to get it right can be different things too.
So the college football season is underway on Thursday, 2 days from today. NFL season starts. Broncos play on Sunday. So with that, where should you watch the game? Sportsbook Bar and Grill in the DTC and Highlands Ranch. I watched the CU game on Friday at the location Highlands Ranch. What a great time. Outstanding food, really good drink specials. When you go on Broncos Sunday, you can win a jersey during every Broncos regular season game at each location. Plus, Sportsbook also has Coors Light, and other great drink specials. Brunch begins on Saturday and Sunday. College football, NFL football at 9 a.m. Greenwood Village, Iowa Hawkeyes Watch Bar. Ohio State is the location you want to be. Ohio State is a watch bar, or had their watch bars in Highlands Ranch. And I think they were having a pretty good time on Saturday.
I think you're right.
Yeah, when you walk into either location, you're going to say, man, it looks like a bunch of sports fans designed this bar. Well, you know what? They did. Jeremy, John, and Judson, they are the owners. They do a fantastic job. Head on out there. No, by the way, they're opening soon in Parker. Time now for The Lead.
The Lead is presented by Sasquatch Casino, a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
Time a website puts out a list, they get free publicity because they know we are going to be talking about it. NFL's Top 100. Pat Surtain checks in at number 10, the NFL reigning Defensive Player of the Year, the only defensive player ahead of him, Myles Garrett. So with that, I will go through the list briefly. Number 1, Saquon Barkley, then Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Jamar Chase, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Derrick Henry, the aforementioned Myles Garrett, and Justin Jefferson. Would you put Surtain ahead of any of those guys?
It's a little apples to oranges if you're talking about offense to defense.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. And Myles Garrett might be the one guy if you just said, "Hey, name me one player better than Pat Surtain." There might be a couple of others. I don't know.
Hold on. Pat Surtain had a better season than Patrick Mahomes.
Yes,
but would you honestly, if you had a choice between Patrick Mahomes and Patrick Surtain,
no.
Not one Broncos fan, including having Bo Nix on the roster, would say we'd rather have Surtain over Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. That's kind of the apples to oranges effect because quarterback is a unicorn. I mean, it's a totally different position, and it's one that you absolutely have got to have, as we've talked about so many different times. To me, you can't even rate quarterbacks on this thing. I mean, Josh Allen. I mean, would you take Josh Allen? I think in the same situation, of course you would. Of course you would. You'd take now Jalen Daniels would be interesting.
Yep.
Jalen Daniels would be an interesting conversation because he's the same vintage as Bo Nix. By the way, we've done a lot of stuff out here. Bo Nix.
Oh, you're in Oregon.
Let me tell you something or other. There are a lot of Denver Broncos people paying attention out here simply because of Bo Nix. And don't think that his presence in Denver doesn't resonate with NFL fans out here. Remember, we've only got the Seahawks to the north, and that's quite a far stretch. Then you got to go all the way down to the Bay Area for the 49ers. So, but Bo Nix it's amazing how many times we've heard his name. But be that as it may, Pat Surtain is a top 20 player in the NFL. Pat Surtain is a top 5 player defensively in the NFL. I think his ratings are always subject to debate, and that's the kind of the fun of having them, the barstool debate that you have with lists. I'm fine with that, but I'm not giving up Patrick Surtain for very many people. I'll tell you that much.
So let me ask you this. TJ Watt checked in at number 11. Who would you rather have today? Would you rather have TJ Watt or would you rather have Patrick Surtain? I'll start it off by saying this. I'd rather have Pat Surtain for this team.
Yes,
because
I'm glad you said that.
I already have Nick Benito and Zach Allen and Jonathan Cooper. So I feel pretty good about the pass rushers that I have on my roster. But when you look at the importance of the position, I mean, here, I don't want to say that you don't game plan for Pat Surtain. That's not what I'm suggesting. What he does is he closes off basically 1/3 of the field, and he shadows the other team's best wide receiver and does a pretty good job of shutting them down for the most part. With that, with TJ Watt, he's probably the first piece of tape you are looking at when you are an offense. Not Pat Surtain. TJ Watt, how do we game plan for this guy?
That's because that position is a game-wrecking position. And we've seen it with Von Miller, right? I mean, we've seen it in our own backyard. You can wreck a game from that position. Now, you also said something that's really important. I agree. Yes. And I agree with you 100% on this. So we've come up with 2 very new things now for the first time in our 3 years together.
Wow.
All at once. Yeah, pretty good. No, here's the deal. I gotta know the people around Patrick Surtain to be able to make a judgment, because if you're just giving me a blank board and I'm starting from scratch and you're saying, all right, you got TJ Watt or you got Pat Surtain, I'm probably taking TJ Watt, right? I mean, probably. But if I've got Zach Allen and I've got Nick Benito and I've got those guys, I'm taking Pat Surtain would be my guy, because the next best thing, other than being able to wreck a game from an outside rushing edge, is to be able to take away 1/3 of the field. You're controlling a lot of the field when you're getting to the quarterback. That is you control 100% of the field if you can get to the quarterback. If you can't get to the quarterback, then you're putting your cover guys out on islands. And if you're going to be on an island, Pat Surtain's not a bad guy to have, taking care of it.
I find it interesting because this is all the NFL Network. NFL Network comes out with its top 100. Who votes on that? Do you know off the top of your head?
I would just imagine the minions at the NFL Network. I mean, but I don't know for a fact.
Okay, Alex, do you happen to know that off the top of your head?
I do not.
Okay.
I am not sure who the voters are.
So with that, clearly this was excellent producing on my part, where I didn't know the answer. Then I asked you, Bruce. You didn't know the answer. Alex doesn't know the answer. Clearly we are very organized the day after a long weekend, but I digress. NFL Network has its top 100, right?
Right.
And then NFL Network, NFL.com, they polled 29 of their writers. They said, who do you think is going to win MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year?
Yep.
They came out with the list of votes on who will be the Defensive Player of the Year. Pat Surtain is number 10 in the league, NFL's top 100. Pat Surtain, of those 29 voters, did not get one vote to be the Defensive Player of the Year. Help me square that circle.
That's a tough one. And the only thought when I was pondering this earlier was that you have such a great group of guys around you that it is difficult to shine, even with a player of Pat Surtain's ability, when you've got arguably, how many guys do you think are all pro on this defense? How many guys do you think are going to be pro bowlers on this defense? Probably a fair share if it goes the way that you and I seem to think that it will go. And so maybe the only thing that I could offer up is that it's going to be difficult to set yourself apart on a team that has so many very, very good pieces.
Very rarely does a cornerback win Defensive Player of the Year.
Right.
But the more that I think about it, and after looking at the 29 voters not giving one vote to Pat Surtain to repeat as Defensive Player of the Year, it kind of reminds me of when Jokic won his first MVP.
Yeah. Huh.
He was terrific. He had an MVP type season, but I think the thought process from the voters was, well, no one else really had a great year. Giannis wasn't fantastic, and Luka wasn't fantastic, and this guy wasn't great. So we'll just give it to Jokic. In this case, that's how I think Pat Surtain got this honor, because TJ Watt wasn't TJ Watt, right? Yeah. And Myles Garrett didn't have a 20-sack season.
No, he didn't.
And that's what I mean by usually it's a pass rusher that is going to win this award. So because none of the other guys were lights out, obvious choice, we'll just give it to the cornerback. Just like, we'll just give it to Jokic.
Yeah, because to your point, what is it? Like there's only been one other time that a corner was the Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, it is a position that is not usually judged this way.
Right.
I mean, and that's not to take anything away from Pat Surtain. I mean, I guarantee you there is no corner that I would start a team with ahead of Pat Surtain. But it's just it's the position that he plays and the way offenses can steer away from it. And isn't it funny that you think about this? Think about the importance. Everyone talks about, well, you can't have enough good corners. I mean, that's an actual saying that people talk about in the NFL, and yet they tend to be kind of dismissed more from a standpoint of National Player of the Year types of things. It's odd to me because that's another circle that can't be squared.
Okay, so you brought up another corner winning it. That was Stephon Gilmore back in 2019. But when you look at the votes from the 29 voters, tell me what these guys have in common. These are ranked in order. They believe with 6 votes, Will Anderson Jr. will win the award. Now tell me what all these guys have in common, 1 through 6. Will Anderson, Micah Parsons, Myles Garrett, Aiden Hutchinson, Jared Verse, Jalen Carter, Max Crosby. Do they all have something in common besides the fact they are all men and they all happen to play football?
They all tackle people very violently from the same position. So, yes, and there is no question that an edge rusher is going to be valued. And the shiny example, the shiny thing about an edge rusher is sacks. Sacks are cool. Right. We like sacks. Oh, we understand sacks. You've got 18 sacks. Damn, you're a really good player. And really, you are a good player. If you're getting to the quarterback that much, you are a fantastic player. Sacks are not meaningless metrics. They do reflect a player's busyness and how effective a player is.
Well, here's the difference to me, because I value pressures just as much as I value sacks. Sacks end plays. Pressures change plays as well, meaning incomplete pass, maybe an interception because the guy's rushed, maybe a guy fumbles. But at the end of the day, with the pressure, not a lot, not all the time, but a lot of the times it directly affects what's going to happen. A sack is finality. The play is over. But I'll ask you, what did Jared Allen have 64 pressures last year?
I believe that's correct. Yeah.
Okay. And then you have Trey Hendrickson, who plays for the Bengals. He had 17 and a half sacks. He led the league. Is that right?
Right. That is correct.
Would you rather have your guy get 17 and a half sacks or 64 pressures?
Well,
because that's 3-1. That's about 3.5 to 1.
You love getting guys off schedule. That's what defensive coordinators talk about a lot, right? I mean, that's a little catchphrase. I mean, we want to keep fill in the blank off schedule. Good things happen when you've got a quarterback off schedule. Good things can, we always talk about the bad things that can happen when you get a quarterback out in space. And when you get a Jaden Daniels, it's different than getting other quarterbacks that maybe aren't as comfortable moving outside the pocket. So we understand the danger of a guy like Jaden Daniels. That's self-apparent. But most quarterbacks, if you can get them off schedule, you're in a good position to get a result that's great for your defense. A big loss, a turnover, a bad mistake by the quarterback. There's lots of different things that can happen. So in the absence of a sack, which to your point ends a play and usually ends a play, well, it does by definition, it's a negative play for the offense and a positive play for the defense in terms of yardage and where the ball is marked. That would be number one. But the number of pressures and the times that you pressure, if you're giving me 64 or 70 pressures from one, and also from the position that he plays basically a defensive end. So he is affecting the game in the middle of the field.
Right.
That's why Chris Jones is so effective in Kansas City. He collapses the pocket from the middle of the field,
like
not
an
from
Aaron
the edge
Donald,
of the field. Right.
Like an Aaron Donald,
right.
like a J.J. Watt. Bruce, if I would have told you between the years 2017 and 2022, the Broncos would be the biggest favorite week one, you would have said, Eric, are you doing a pot crawl on Broadway? I didn't. I'm not. But I'm going to tell you why, that I'm totally lucid in telling you that the Broncos have done something they haven't done for a very long time. What is it? That's next. Everyone has their favorite barbecue spot. Mine, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. My favorites, slowly smoked ribs, smoked corned beef Reuben, smoked meatloaf with a portobello balsamic cream sauce. Don't forget about Smokin' Dave's 16-hour smoked brisket and pork with one of their 4 homemade barbecue sauces. Great sides, you bet. Barbecue beans made with pork and brisket and their southern corned bake. Man, you got to try it. Plus, they have amazing non-barbecue entrees on the menu. Go where I go, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew in North Denver.
Ferguson's Heating and Cooling is the best in Denver, and their customers agree. Ferguson's has 165 5-star Google reviews, and here's one from Betsy. Highly professional, prompt, and honest. I switched to Ferguson's when I became aware my former company was trying to sell me a whole new system I didn't need. Ferguson's is an honest, working, family-owned business that'll give you a fair price, the highest quality parts and equipment, and they always show up on time. You can trust the Ferguson family like you trust your own family. Go to fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
Spice up your next night out at Nola Jane and Lodo. Authentic Cajun cuisine like andouille sausage gumbo with dirty rice, crawfish etouffee, as well as 6 different po' boys like soft-shell crab and shrimp. Come in before or after a game at Ball Arena. Host a party or party on their rooftop deck overlooking Market Street during happy hour from 11 a.m. to 5. Plus, Nola Jane caters, delivers, and the kitchen is open late night. Make Nola Jane your new favorite spot to eat, drink, and party like it's Mardi Gras.
Ever wondered where city and county fleet vehicles go when they retire? Now's your chance to find out and score big. Imagine driving away with a great deal on a reliable vehicle. For over 45 years, Roller Auction has been the trusted source for government fleet vehicles and equipment. Trucks, SUVs, sedans, and more, all selling to the highest bidder. Don't miss out. Visit roller.bid/hot takes to get auction updates today. Your next vehicle could be just a click away.
Everyone has their favorite sports bar. Mine, the Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch in the DTC. Both locations are everything a sports bar should be. An upscale menu with 12 different burgers, outstanding wings, and my favorite, the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. They've got every game on the NFL Sunday Ticket, MLB Extra Innings, NHL Center Ice, NBA League Pass, plus soccer, rugby, and UFC. Sportsbook is a hangout bar or great for private parties. The Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, the DTC, and coming soon to Parker. They are the sports bar.
Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Blackhawk have another incredible promotion. They'll be giving away a Ford Maverick Tremor truck or over $25,000 in cash the weekend of October 24th. Daily cash drawings are every 45 minutes between 10 a.m. and midnight. Players can earn daily entries with every locked-up jackpot or by redeeming players' points on their players' cards. Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos, loose slots, phenomenal promotions, great food, and a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
And welcome back. Hot Takes Goodman and Haertl. Time now for What's Trending.
What's Trending is presented by Nola Jane in the heart of Lodo. No one does Cajun cuisine better than Nola Jane. Go see why their award-winning menu is the best in town.
All right, Marvin Mims returned to practice yesterday while Sean Payton said he's going to take a cautious approach with Dre Greenlaw, who hasn't really played at all, or played a lot, I should say, during training camp. He played some, didn't play in any of the games. In the meantime, Broncos 8-point favorites in the opener against the Titans. Denver is the biggest favorite in week 1, something we haven't said in a very, very long time. With that, would you take the Broncos and give the points?
Yeah, I think I would against a rookie quarterback, even a good one. I think Cam Ward is going to be a good quarterback in this league. I don't think he's quite there yet, even listening to him a little bit about where this offense is or where this offense isn't at this point. He's a pretty remarkably truthful guy, and I'm pulling for him for a lot of reasons, but be that as it may, I do think it makes sense to me that the Broncos are the biggest favorite when you look at the rest of the matchups. The Broncos are expected, especially at home, to be a playoff contending team. Tennessee is probably down the rung a fair amount in that regard. I don't think the expectations are particularly high for them. Having said that, you still got to go play, and you got to play well, and you got to do things against an NFL team that you've got to be able to check boxes. So I'll be very interested to see, probably more from an offensive standpoint, what the Broncos really look like. And I know we'll get into this in the next few days and ramp up towards kickoff on Sunday. But I'm pretty locked in on them defensively in this matchup. I think that it's a good matchup for them. But I think offensively, I'm really curious to see what kind of rhythm they can get into, because we haven't seen a lot of that in the preseason. And it's not anything I don't think that anyone needs to be concerned about. I just think that you'd feel better if you felt some rhythm with the offense.
I'm going to give you 5 seconds to give me a snap answer, because I don't want you to overly think about it, but then we'll dig deeper and drill down on this.
Okay.
The over-under is 42.5. Snap answer. You taking the over or the under?
I will always take the under in the NFL. I mean, I will, because I think defenses, especially early in the season, are much further along than offenses are. So snap, and if you gave me time to think about it, maybe I'd change my mind, because I defer to you on all, betting advice, because I wouldn't give any betting advice to people. I'm a reverse barometer. But
now give me a quick answer on this one. How many points do the Broncos give up to a rookie quarterback and the Titans? Quick. How many
13.
points do you think? 13. Okay.
13.
So with that, let's say they give up 13 points and the over-under is 42.5. If my math is correct, do you expect the Broncos to score 30 to hit the over? Because that's what it is.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. 28, 31, 13, something like that.
Remember, well, this is what's interesting about the Titans, and I understand they had some roster turnover and yada, yada, yada. This is a really odd stat. The Titans had the second best defense in the league last year. Second best.
Yeah.
Now, when you talk about who had the best defense, it is based on yards only. We don't need to go through the reasons why.
Right,
If you don't know that by now, chances are you're not watching this podcast. You probably have an idea. It's based on yards, not on points. But think about this for a second. They gave up the second fewest yards, yet gave up 27 points a game. Those two really don't seem to square up, do they?
No, they don't at all. And that's an interesting stat or an interesting truth. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, opening games are weird. You never. The only thing that I can really hang my hat on is the Broncos defense. I think the Broncos offense is going to be pretty good. I think it's going to be pretty good. I'm pretty sure the best unit on the field is going to be the Broncos defense. So anything that I start to think about in terms of how this game goes starts with the Broncos defense. I don't think that Tennessee is going to fare very well. I'm not going to throw out a number of turnovers and stuff like that, but I wouldn't be surprised, especially with a young quarterback, rookie quarterback, potentially being off schedule, like we've talked about. You've got a chance to create some turnovers, and I think that that's probably what they're hoping to do.
I don't have a research staff, just like you don't have a research staff. But I'd be curious to know if this has ever happened in the history of the NFL, meaning a gap this wide. Tennessee had the second best defense in the league last year in terms of yards given up. They were 30th in the league in points given up.
That's that. Yeah. Well, it tells you, that's pretty remarkable, right?
I have Bruce Haertl speechless here. It's stunning, isn't it?
I'm trying to think of, because big plays are yard producing plays, right?
Listen, if you have an offense that there's a reason why they drafted there's a reason why they drafted a quarterback number one.
Right.
Because they weren't happy with their quarterback play. For all I know, I didn't watch a lot of Titans games last year. For all I know, the offense kept turning the ball over inside their own 30-yard line. So they didn't give up a lot of yards, but they gave up a lot of points. Right. Yeah. They gave up a lot of points. With that, I want to piggyback on something that you just said about the defense. That's what you're really going to be looking for. That's how they'd probably win this game. DJ Jones said the key to winning on Sunday is, quote, the Broncos defensive line dominating the Titans offensive line. A lot of keys to winning the game, but is that the number one key, or are there other keys that are more important?
Well, if I'm going to sit here and say that defensively, that's the only thing that I can really hang my hat on. And one of the most key guys on that defensive unit is making that statement. I'll probably, jump in his foxhole on that. I think pressuring the quarterback, wherever it comes from. Dealing with the offensive lines, does that mean stopping the run? Does it mean getting through that line and getting to the quarterback from the middle? It can mean a lot of different things, and I'm for checking all boxes. Do you dominate this game? And you and I know this, and everyone should know this. Every game in the NFL starts at the line of scrimmage. And you may have shiny toys all over the field, and at quarterback and at receiver and running back and corner and safety and all of those things. And yes, they are absolutely important pieces to the puzzle. But NFL games, it all starts on the defensive and the offensive fronts, and then flip it when you've got the ball. Your offensive front, their defensive front. That's where every play starts. The ball snaps right there from the middle of the field with 10 very large human beings all around the ball wanting to do damage to one another.
Let's flip it around to the offense and Bo Nix. Sean Payton was asked how much more Bo Nix can handle in his second season.
I don't think it's putting more on his plate. I think And I hear that referenced a lot. I think it's a little bit more of what he's used to and how he operates within it more efficiently, more quickly, more decisively. I've told the coaches, early in the season, it's got to be a process. It's not, all right, this is where we ended last year. Now we're on to, and so I think if I did or used a good analogy, it would be a certain play a year ago. That same play this year, he's out of the huddle a little quicker with the call. He maybe understands the nuances of the play and has seen the cut-ups of it all year, and it is a little bit more comfortable with the same play from a year ago.
I got to tell you, I've never thought about that particular take on that type of question. When we talk about a quarterback evolving and getting better in his second year, we all tend to think, how much more can he handle of the playbook instead of the playbook that he had the year before, mastering it. It's not as if Sean Payton came up with 50 new plays in the offseason.
Right.
And certainly you have certain plays that you want to run against certain teams. But generally speaking, if you're using a cooking analogy, a lot of the ingredients are the same, right? He's making the same dishes over and over week after week in year one, trying to master those plays. Now in year two, he's being asked to perfect those same recipes instead of having like 20 to 30 new recipes that he has to learn.
It is interesting that that's kind of the natural progression of thought. When you stop to think of it, and the offense was averaging like 26 points a game or 27 points a game over their last 10, 12 games of the season. Think about that number. If I could guarantee you, Eric, that the Broncos were going to score 27 points a game, you take that in a heartbeat, because this is the NFL. I mean, you just don't get those types of guarantees. Teams don't. Now, there are teams that score that. There are teams that score 28, 29, 30. Can the Broncos be that type of defense? That remains to be seen. I just got done saying that, I want to see some rhythm from the offense, and that will be the most interesting part of this football game, I think. And moving forward. But if you can master what you had done so well at the end of the season that made you such a compelling quarterback in a compelling offense, then you're way ahead of the game. So the process, the progress is you're just better at what you're already doing pretty well. And they've added pieces. So are Dobbins and RJ Harvey going to be better than Javonte Williams and the people they had running? Yes, the answer is yes. Clearly, they are better in that position. Do they have a playmaking tight end right now in Evan Engram that they did not have a year ago?
Right.
Yes. The answer is yes. They have players that are better in the offense. Now they've got to go execute. They got to catch the ball. They've got to hit the holes the right way. We know all of those things. They are set up to be better, not so much because Bo Nix needs to be better. He needs to be as good as he was. And just like Sean said, being able to handle those things more fluidly, but then to have better weapons around him.
These are the new recipes that Bo Nix needs to learn. When to play call, whether it's an audible or Sean Payton's play call, outside zone, because now you have the personnel to run those plays. There weren't a lot of passes to Troutman and Kroll over the middle. Now that they have Evan Engram, that's a new recipe for him to learn. With the outside zone, new recipe for him to learn. As far as the wide receivers go, you have Mims, whose trajectory appears to be going up, Troy Franklin, whose trajectory appears to be going up. There will likely be some more deep balls this year because of that. Those are some new recipes.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, it's going to be 80% of the same play calls in theory that we saw last year throughout the season.
Yeah, and well stated. And if it's going to be about 80% or whatever the number is, I don't pretend to know the number, but whatever the number is,
I don't know it either. I just make this shit up, and hopefully nobody calls me on it.
But here's the thing. If you can do that well,
yeah,
and if you can do that a little bit better, then it stands to reason that you're going to be a more productive offense, right? I mean, if you get into the Buffalo Bills, Cincinnati Bengals type of realm where you're 29-30, Detroit Lions 31 points. If you get into that kind of realm, then you're a champ. Then you are a Super Bowl contender. Period. You may be a contender at least in the West and for the AFC just by your defense alone. And if you can be the same kind of offense that you finished the season with last year, although they scored one touchdown in a playoff game in Buffalo when it mattered, right? So, I mean, we'll see how it all goes. I'm pretty optimistic, but I'm realistic too. I mean, these things sometimes take time. So,
I don't mean to put you on the spot and answer it how you want to. Answer it how you want to. Why are you in Oregon right now?
I will be moving to Oregon because I am retiring at the end of this football season. And I'm actually glad that you bring it. Just goes to show that you and I think a lot alike. Because I was thinking about mentioning this just so people aren't confused. So we have moved. We have found a retirement home on the coast. And
you're going to move into a retirement home? How old are you again?
Thank you.
Is it going to be assisted living or is it going to be full on nurses around the clock for you?
Just get me my pills when I need them, Eric. Yeah. We're going to retire. But of course, in the meantime, my wife, after we have bought this home, which is literally on the ocean in Oregon, my wife has become the marketing director for Allegiant Stadium in New Orleans or in Las Vegas. And we're very proud of her. Obviously, and as you know, Eric, it's a tremendous job, and it was an opportunity that she absolutely had to take. It would have been criminal if she hadn't. I mean, absolutely. And so
how are you going to retire? How are you going to retire if she doesn't have a high paying job? Of course you encouraged her.
Of course I did. I said, how much money did you make, honey? Yeah, that's a great job for you to take. Absolutely.
Right?
No. So
I don't even care if you like it. Wait, where's the decimal point and where are all those zeros?
We're doing well. This has been so what we're doing right now is we're getting the first part of the move taken care of. I come back to Denver. I'll work the rest of the season. You've been very kind with me, and I appreciate our friendship and our working relationship. And you and I are going to see this through till January or February or whenever the Broncos get finished. And then I will head to the West Coast and begin my retirement, which will probably start going back and forth from my spot here in Oregon to Las Vegas. Not a tough gig if you can get it.
So basically, after close to what will be a 3-year run, I need to find a new partner, is what you're saying.
Well, I don't imagine that will be very difficult, and I sure as hell know that you won't have trouble finding a better one. That's for sure. So,
I will have trouble. I will have trouble finding a better one, but you know me real well that I like to get things done yesterday. I'm hoping to have a decision today about who will be the next Bruce Haertl.
That's fantastic.
I don't know when, if that turns out to be the case. I don't know when an announcement is going to be made, but no matter who my partner could be, you are, and I say this with all sincerity, you, Bruce, I'm serious. Don't laugh. You are irreplaceable to me. Absolutely replaceable. And I've been blessed to have some great partners like Les Shapiro and Andrew Mason and Mike Pritchard and so on and so forth, who I've been talking to. I would be thrilled to work with him, thrilled on so many different levels, but I would still rather work with you. Not having nothing to do with him, having everything to do with you.
You're very kind. I appreciate it. This has been a process that I have enjoyed immensely, and I think that you understand that and appreciate it. I certainly do. I will tell people out there, pay attention, because I know who you have in mind, and I think it would be very exciting for people. I really, really mean that. It would be very exciting. But until then, you're stuck with me, and we'll work it out, and we'll knock it out.
Well, also worth mentioning, I am still stuck with Alex. Alex, can you come into the screen here? Bruce, what are you, about 65? Is that right? 64?
67.
67. Yeah. So you're going into retirement and on the road to finding someone to hot takes with, Goodman and blank. Alex, when are you planning on retiring? Not that I'm encouraging you to do it, because I have somebody else in mind to produce this show as well. How old are you?
I'm 31 now.
Then I'm stuck with you for a long time, and sadly, and more importantly, you are stuck with me. Okay, Alex, you can't go anywhere. I can't lose both of you after the football season is over. With that, that's going to do it for us. Hot takes. Goodman and Haertl, make it the best possible day you can.